There is a Ford engine sitting in trucks all over the country right now that has proven it can go 1,000,000 miles, and you can buy one of these trucks for under $5,000. Nobody is talking about it. I've been working on Fords for over 15 years, and when people ask me what the most reliable engine Ford ever built is, I don't even hesitate. The answer is the 7.3-liter Power Stroke turbo diesel. And the crazy part is that while everyone fights over overpriced newer trucks, these things are being overlooked. Let me tell you exactly why this engine refuses to die and why smart buyers should be paying attention right now. The 7.3-liter Power Stroke was produced from 1994 through 2003. Ford partnered with Navistar International to build this engine, and Navistar already had decades of experience building diesel engines for medium-duty trucks, school buses, and commercial vehicles. The engine they created was designated the T444E on the Navistar side, and Ford put the Power Stroke name on it for the F250 trucks, F350 trucks, F450 trucks, F-Bomb50 trucks, and even the massive Ford Excursion sport utility vehicle. By the time Ford stopped producing it in 2003, nearly 2 million of these engines had rolled off the assembly line at Navistar's Indianapolis plant. 2 million engines. That production volume alone tells you something about demand. What makes this engine so ridiculously durable starts with the basics. The block and cylinder heads are cast iron, not aluminum, not some lightweight alloy designed to save weight at the expense of longevity. The early models from 1994 through 2000 used forged steel connecting rods, which are significantly stronger than the powdered metal rods that showed up in late 2001 and 2002 models. For stock applications, even the powdered metal rods hold up fine. But those forged rods in the earlier trucks are part of what gives knowledgeable diesel guys a preference for the 1999 to 2000 model year trucks specifically. The engine uses a simple 2-valve per cylinder head design with 4-bolt main bearing caps. Nothing exotic, nothing fragile. Just massively overbuilt components that were designed to handle abuse day after day in work truck environments. The fuel injection system on the 7.3-liter is called HEUI, Hydraulic Electronic Unit Injection. Instead of using a traditional mechanical injection pump like older diesels, the 7.3-liter uses high-pressure engine oil to actuate the fuel injectors. A high-pressure oil pump pressurizes engine oil to extreme levels, and that pressurized oil is what fires the injectors and pushes fuel into the combustion chambers. It sounds complicated, but it is actually a brilliantly simple system compared to the common rail injection found in modern diesels. There is no CP4 fuel pump waiting to grenade and send metal shavings through your entire fuel system like the 6.7-liter Power Stroke can. There is no piezoelectric injector that costs $1,000 per cylinder to replace. The HEUI injectors on a 7.3-liter are rebuildable for a fraction of what modern injector replacement costs, and the system is well understood after more than 20 years of real-world service. The real reason this engine hits 1,000,000 miles when others fail at 200,000 is what it does not have. The 7.3-liter Power Stroke predates the modern emissions equipment that chokes newer diesel engines. There is no exhaust gas recirculation system routing hot, dirty exhaust back into the intake manifold. There is no diesel particulate filter that clogs with soot and requires expensive regeneration cycles or replacement. There is no selective catalytic reduction system requiring diesel exhaust fluid. There is no complex variable geometry turbocharger with electronic actuators that fail. The 7.3 uses a simple fixed geometry Garrett turbocharger with a wastegate on the later 1999 to 2003 models. It uses a basic diesel oxidation catalyst for emissions, and that is it. Every one of those modern emissions components is a potential multi-thousand-dollar failure point on newer trucks. The 7.3 simply does not have them. That simplicity means fewer things to break, and fewer things to break means the engine just keeps running. Let me talk about real-world proof. A man named John Freeland from Humble, Texas put 1.3 million miles on his 2000 Ford F350 with the 7.3-liter Power Stroke. The odometer actually stops at 999,999 miles, so he tracked the remaining mileage through paper records from his career as a hotshot driver. The engine is original. The manual transmission is original. He never rebuilt either one. His maintenance routine was straightforward. Regular oil changes, Ford original equipment manufacturer filters, BG diesel additives in every tank of fuel, and Michelin tires that he ran to 120,000 miles per set. His injectors went over 1 million miles before needing replacement. Think about that. A set of fuel injectors lasting 1 million miles. That does not happen with weak engineering. That happens because Ford and Navistar built this thing like a piece of industrial equipment. And Freeland's truck is not the only one. A 2013 Ford F-350 with the newer 6.7-liter Power Stroke also hit 1.3 million miles, but that truck has been through 4 turbochargers to get there. The 7.3 in Freeland's truck is still running the factory turbo at 1.3 million. Another 2000 F-350 with the 7.3 used on a dairy farm hauling cattle across the country hit the 1 million mile mark with nothing more than 3 clutch replacements as the major service items. The engine itself was described by the owner as not even worn out. Now here is where the opportunity gets interesting for buyers on a budget. Because these trucks are now 22 to 31 years old, they have depreciated significantly in certain market segments. Clean, low-mileage examples with the 7.3 Power Stroke still command premium prices, sometimes $15,000 to $20,000 or more for a really nice crew cab four-wheel drive truck. But here is what most people overlook. These engines are so durable that a high-mileage example is not the liability it would be with a gasoline engine. A 7.3 Power Stroke with 250,000 miles on it is barely broken in if it has been maintained. The B50 life rating for this engine, meaning the mileage at which 50% of these engines are still running without major work, is 350,000 miles. Half of them go past 350,000 without needing significant engine work. Find a truck with 200,000 to 300,000 miles, decent maintenance records, and a body that is not rotted out, and you can absolutely get into one for under $5,000. So why is not everyone buying them? Several reasons, and most of them come down to misconceptions and lifestyle preferences rather than anything actually wrong with the trucks. The first issue is that buyers today want modern features. The newest 7.3 Power Stroke truck you can buy is a 2003 model. That means no backup camera, no touchscreen, no blind spot monitoring, no adaptive cruise control, no lane keeping assist. The interior on even the nicest Lariat trim feels dated compared to a 2020 truck. People shopping for diesel trucks in 2026 want the creature comforts, and they are willing to pay $60,000 to $80,000 for a new Super Duty to get them. That mentality pushes them right past the 7.3 without a second thought. The second reason is horsepower snobbery. The 7.3 Power Stroke made 275 horsepower and 525 pound-feet of torque at its peak in the 2001 to 2003 manual transmission trucks. The current 6.7-liter Power Stroke in a new Super Duty makes 500 horsepower and 1,200 pound-feet of torque. On paper, that makes the 7.3 look completely inadequate. But here is the reality that paper specs do not capture. The 7.3 was rated to tow up to 12,500 pounds conventionally and nearly 14,000 pounds with a fifth wheel setup. Most people towing recreational trailers, landscape equipment, or work materials are well within those limits. The 7.3 does not need 500 horsepower because it was built during an era when manufacturers designed trucks for actual work, not for winning spec sheet arguments at tailgate parties. The third reason is economy concerns. The 7.3 Power Stroke gets roughly 15 to 18 miles per gallon on the highway in stock configuration. Some owners report even better with highway gearing and light throttle. Modern buyers see this and compare it to the 20-plus miles per gallon claims from newer diesels, but they forget to factor in the purchase price difference. If you buy a 7.3 truck for $4,000 instead of financing a new diesel for $75,000, you could burn fuel for a decade before you would even approach the cost difference. The math overwhelmingly favors the older truck for buyers who do not need to impress anyone in the parking lot. The fourth reason is parts anxiety. People assume that because the engine has not been produced since 2003, finding parts must be a nightmare. The opposite is actually true. Nearly 2 million of these engines were built. The aftermarket support for the 7.3 Power Stroke is absolutely massive. Companies like Alliant Power, International, Motorcraft, and dozens of aftermarket suppliers produce every gasket, sensor, injector, turbo component, and hard part you could ever need. Online forums dedicated to the 7.3 have been active for over 20 years, and every common problem has been diagnosed, documented, and solved multiple times over. You will never be stranded searching for a solution to a 7.3 problem because somebody on a Power Stroke forum already solved it in 2007 and wrote a step-by-step guide with pictures. If you're actually considering buying one, here's what to look for. The camshaft position sensor is the single most common failure point on the 7.3-liter Power Stroke, and it causes a no-start condition that panics owners who don't know about it. The fix is a $20 sensor and 15 minutes of work. Carry a spare in your glove box. The injection pressure regulator valve, the letters IPR, sits on the high-pressure oil pump and can develop seal leaks that cause hard starts and rough running. A rebuild kit costs about $14. A replacement IPR runs between $140 and $300. The undervalve cover harness, spelled UVCH, connects the glow plugs and injectors under the valve covers and deteriorates with age, causing misfires and a rough idle. Replacement harnesses are readily available, and the job is straightforward for anyone comfortable with basic wrenching. The glow plug relay can fail, causing hard cold starts, and it is about a $40 fix. None of these are catastrophic engine failures. They are wear items on trucks that are now 2 to 3 decades old, and every single one of them can be fixed in a driveway with common tools. If you are enjoying this and finding it valuable, go ahead and hit that subscribe button and drop a like, because we are about to cover the real cost of ownership that makes this engine the best kept secret in the used truck market. The maintenance costs on a 7.3-liter Power Stroke are remarkably low compared to modern diesel trucks. Oil changes require 15 quarts of oil because of the high-pressure oil system, which makes each oil change cost a bit more than a gasoline engine. Expect $75 to $100 if you do it yourself every 5,000 miles. Fuel filters need replacement every 15,000 miles and cost about $15 to $25 for the filter itself. Coolant requires supplemental coolant additive maintenance to prevent cavitation damage to the cylinder liners. A bottle of SCA and test strips costs about $20. Neglecting this is one of the few things that can actually kill a 7.3, because cavitation erosion will eventually eat through the cylinder walls if the coolant chemistry is not maintained. This is probably the single most important maintenance item that owners skip, and it is absurdly cheap to stay on top of. Compare this to the maintenance reality on a modern 6.7-liter Power Stroke. The DEF system alone adds cost and complexity. The diesel particulate filter needs periodic regeneration, and if it fails, replacement costs run between $2,000 and $4,000. The CP 4.2 high-pressure fuel pump is a ticking time bomb that can destroy the entire fuel system if it fails, creating repair bills that exceed $8,000. EGR cooler failures can crack and leak coolant into the exhaust, causing white smoke and potential head gasket damage. These are all well-documented failure points on modern diesel trucks that simply do not exist on the 7.3. The elephant in the room with any 7.3 truck purchase is rust. These trucks are old enough that body rust is the #1 killer, especially in northern states where road salt destroys frames and cab corners. The engine will outlive the body in almost every case. If you are shopping for a 7.3, prioritize finding a truck from a southern or western state where rust has not compromised the frame. A structurally sound frame with a high-mileage engine is infinitely better than a pristine engine sitting on a frame that is about to snap in half. Check the frame rails behind the rear axle, the cab corners, the rocker panels, and the area around the rear spring hangers. These are the first areas to rot, and if they are gone, walk away no matter how cheap the truck is. The automatic transmission behind the 7.3, the 4R100, is the weak link in the drivetrain for trucks that will be towed hard or modified for more power. In stock form with stock power levels, the 4R100 is adequate. But if you start adding tuners and pushing the engine beyond factory power output, the transmission will be the first thing to fail. Budget-minded buyers who plan to keep the engine stock and tow within the rated capacity will find the 4R100 perfectly serviceable, especially with regular fluid changes every 30,000 miles. If you can find a truck with the ZF 6-speed manual transmission, that is the golden ticket. The manual transmission is significantly more durable, gives you more control while towing, and is one of the reasons John Freeland's million-mile truck still has its original drivetrain. Ford stopped building the 7.3 Power Stroke because tightening EPA emissions regulations required cleaner exhaust than this engine could produce without expensive aftertreatment systems. They replaced it with the 6.0-liter Power Stroke starting in 2003, and that engine became one of the most problematic diesels Ford ever produced. Head gasket failures, oil cooler failures, injector stiction problems, and EGR issues plagued the 6.0 for years. It is ironic that Ford retired one of the most reliable engines they ever offered and replaced it with one of the most troublesome. Many 6.0 owners eventually pulled those engines and swapped in rebuilt 7.3 engines because they were tired of chasing problems. The fact that people are going backward to an older engine tells you everything you need to know about how good the 7.3 really is. If you are a buyer who values mechanical reliability over touchscreen infotainment, who understands that simplicity equals longevity, and who is willing to drive a truck that does not have heated and cooled cup holders, the 7.3 Power Stroke is quite possibly the smartest used truck purchase you can make in 2026. For under $5,000, you can own an engine that has proven it can reach 1,000,000 miles with nothing more than oil changes, fuel filters, and basic attention. No computer engineering degree required, no 5-figure repair bills lurking around the corner, just a cast-iron turbocharged 444 cubic inch diesel V8 that was built during an era when Ford and Navistar cared more about making an engine that would not quit than making one that passed every bureaucratic emissions test on the planet. These trucks are not getting any younger, and the clean ones are getting harder to find every year. Rust is claiming the bodies faster than the engines are wearing out. If you have been on the fence, now is the time to start looking. The million-mile engine is out there waiting for someone who actually knows what they are looking at. Do not be the person who scrolls past a 7.3 listing because the mileage says 250,000 and the price says $4,000. That truck might have another 750,000 miles left in it, and the guy who buys it for $5,000 will be driving it long after the person who financed a brand new Super Duty has already traded theirs in twice. If you found this valuable, make sure you are subscribed, hit the bell, and drop a comment telling me what your 7.3 is sitting at for mileage. I'll see you in the next one.